A'ja Wilson just got hit with the harshest wake-up call of her entire career. After years of throwing shade at Caitlin Clark and benefiting from some of the friendliest whistles in the WNBA, Team USA finally sent a message she couldn't ignore. They removed her from the basement roster and elevated Clark into the priority pool for both 2026 and 2028. According to people around the program, Wilson's reaction behind the scenes was explosive. And honestly, it's not hard to see why her reputation, her attitude, and the flaw in her game that old school WNBA fans never admit finally came crashing down on her. Let's get into why her behavior caught up to her and how Clark's professionalism just cemented her future as the face of women's basketball. But before we break it all down, do you think Team USA made the right call dropping Wilson? Hit the comments and tell us. Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Wilson's entire offensive engine is built on living at the free throw line. She averages nearly a dozen attempts a night because she's mastered the art of selling even the softest contact. Every drive comes with a dramatic finish. Every contest magically turns into a foul, and for years, WNBA officials rewarded it transforming Wilson into a scoring force powered more by whistles than pure creation. But the moment Team USA coaches studied Wilson in international play, the illusion cracked. FIBA referees don't care about your MVPs, your resume, or your star status. They let players fight through bumps that would earn Wilson 10 free throws in a WNBA game. International basketball exposes anyone who relies on referee generosity instead of their own shot making. Caitlin Clark, she plays the opposite style. She'll pull up from 30 feet and bury shots nobody can take away. When defenders hit her, she finishes anyway instead of flailing for a whistle. Her step backs, her range, her IQ, none of that depends on officiating. It translates everywhere. So when the calls dried up overseas, Wilson's efficiency plummeted. She looked ordinary the moment officials stopped bailing her out. Meanwhile, Clark's production stayed consistent because she creates separation with her footwork and release, not by fishing for contact. Watch how they attack the rim and the difference is obvious. Wilson initiates contact and waits for the whistle. Clark absorbs contact and adjusts in midair to score. One strategy works beautifully in the WNBA, where the league protects stars. The other works in every environment because it's built on actual skill. And that's exactly why Team USA made its choice. International tournaments demand players who can thrive regardless of how tight or loose referees call the game. FIBA matches flow with fewer stoppages, more physicality, and far less tolerance for foul baiting. Wilson's reliance on referee interpretation becomes a liability. Clark's game is completely self-sustaining. When the coaching staff reviewed both players under FIBA conditions, the gap became undeniable. Wilson needed favorable officiating to stay dominant. Clark remained dangerous, no matter what. One player depends on conditions. The other creates her own success. So the real question is, what went down when Wilson was told she wasn't making the cut? Stay tuned because her reaction says everything.
Wilson is her name. Quote, "It doesn't matter what we all do as black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race."
A'ja Wilson expected December to be another month where she controlled the narrative and basked in non-stop praise. Instead, she got blindsided by the one announcement she never imagined. When Team USA revealed its latest national team pool, her name was missing entirely. Sources around the Las Vegas Aces say the news hit her so hard it triggered a days-long emotional spiral. The player who spent the last 2 years acting untouchable suddenly discovered she'd been replaced by the very person she tried to undermine, Caitlin Clark. Clark received her invitation to join the senior team pool. Wilson didn't even make the list. And the irony? Wilson had spent months online insisting Clark didn't deserve hype or recognition. Now Clark was in and Wilson was out. The moment the roster dropped, Wilson reportedly scrambled to call anyone she could reach. Within Team USA, demanding answers. She cycled through multiple contacts and staff members, trying to figure out how this decision happened. Her reps even attempted to schedule urgent meetings with coaches who had already moved on to preparing the selected group. Meanwhile, Clark's reaction couldn't have been more different. Her phone lit up with messages, from teammates, coaches, and fans congratulating her for being chosen. She responded calmly and graciously, thanking Team USA for the opportunity and expressing excitement about learning from veteran players. No bitterness, no shade, just professionalism. That contrast alone revealed everything. Clark quietly accepted her invitation. Wilson's camp immediately launched damage control stories claiming she had prior commitments or schedule issues, trying to make it look like she wasn't actually cut, but nobody bought it. Team USA coaches had been monitoring Wilson's behavior toward Clark all year. Every passive-aggressive interview, every cryptic tweet, every subtle jab, all of it added up. They saw a player who risked team chemistry and brought negative energy into any environment. Clark, on the other hand, answered disrespect with discipline. She never fired back, never. Engaged in petty drama, she poured her energy into her game and let her play do the talking. That maturity strengthened her case in the eyes of USA Basketball. Team USA's message through their selections couldn't have been clearer: character matters. They chose unity over ego, commitment over chaos, and leaders over locker room problems. Wilson's meltdown after being excluded only reinforced their decision. If she couldn't handle being left off a roster, how could she handle the pressure of representing her country on the world stage? Her emotional reaction showed a lack of composure, something international competition demands. Clark earned her spot through skill and professionalism. Wilson lost hers through jealousy, resentment, and poor judgment. The player who couldn't take criticism from fans was never 18, going to represent the United States with the poise the role requires. Wilson felt safe taking shots at Clark throughout 2024. With 4 MVP awards, 3 championships, and years of being painted as the face of women's basketball, she believed she was untouchable. Every snide comment seemed justified to someone convinced she owned the spotlight. But Team USA showed her the truth. Nobody is bigger than the program, and no amount of past accolades can protect someone from the consequences of their own behavior. To many veteran players, Caitlin Clark's rise felt like an insult. They viewed the massive media attention surrounding her as overshadowing years of work put in by established WNBA stars. A'ja Wilson was at the center of that resentment. She began liking posts that questioned Clark's legitimacy and shared content that emphasized veteran accolades whenever Clark shattered another college record. Team USA coaches were paying attention to all of it. They saw how Wilson responded to Clark's success, not with encouragement, but with skepticism. When Clark was named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year, Wilson's social media reactions once again highlighted doubt. Instead of celebrating the sport finally reaching mainstream recognition, USA Basketball officials took mental notes. They remembered who elevated the game and who tried to drag others down. Meanwhile, Wilson's interviews became increasingly pointed as Clark's popularity exploded. She squeezed in phrases like real impact and true longevity, thinly veiled shots aimed directly at Clark. Clark was selling out stadiums and bringing new fans into women's basketball, but Wilson kept to beat it, pushing back with stats about longtime WNBA scorers and historic viewership posts clearly, designed to diminish Clark's influence. Each one revealed the same truth. Wilson feared losing her spot as the league's top star. Instead of uplifting a young player bringing unprecedented attention to women's sports, Wilson turned every Clark accomplishment into a threat to her own legacy. She made Clark's rise about herself, and Team USA noticed every bit of it. For 2 years, coaches observed the contrast. One player responded to pressure with pettiness. The other responded with poise. Wilson practically wrote her own removal letter through every jealous remark and passive-aggressive post. What she saw as protecting her status actually damaged her credibility with Team USA leadership. The message became undeniable. A player who can't celebrate another woman's success can't represent her country with the professionalism expected on the global stage. Wilson engineered the exact storyline that ultimately pushed her out of the national team picture. Her public campaign against Clark didn't weaken Clark, it backfired spectacularly. Clark received her Team USA invitation while Wilson was still furiously calling anyone who would pick up the phone. Clark immediately shifted into preparation mode for December's Processes Bay's evaluation camp, approaching the opportunity with the same discipline that made her a college icon. She knew this was bigger than just making a roster. She was stepping into the role Wilson assumed she'd hold forever. The connection between Clark and A'ja Wilson's former teammate Aaliyah Boston only strengthened Clark's standing. Boston and Clark developed a natural chemistry during their exes the station, college battles, Boston dominating at South Carolina, Clark rewriting history at Iowa. Their mutual respect and team-first mindset gave Team USA a foundation Wilson's attitude simply couldn't offer. Wilson's ego would have demanded the offense revolve around her. Clark's approach invites collaboration, and coaches see that difference clearly. Clark's grace throughout Wilson's public hostility proved she could handle pressure without creating chaos. Wilson's inability to acknowledge another player's achievement demonstrated the opposite. This December camp marks Clark's arrival as the new worldwide face of women's basketball. Wilson's exclusion sends a message that echoes through the entire WNBA. Winning stats matter, but character matters just as much. Players who uplift the sport earn opportunities. Players who tear it down lose them. Wilson chose insecurity over leadership and paid for it. Clark's appeal reaches far beyond the US. Her long-range shooting, competitive fire, and electric playstyle translated internationally long before she entered the WNBA. She inspires fans across cultures and languages. Wilson's branding never extended beyond existing basketball circles, while Clark became a global phenomenon almost immediately. With the 2026 World Cup and 2028 Olympics ahead, Team USA plans to build an offense around Clark's creativity, vision, and elite basketball IQ. Wilson's drama would have been a distraction. Clark's mentality is centered on team success, not personal validation. Team USA had a simple choice: cling to the past or embrace the future. And Wilson's behavior over the last 2 years made the decision clearer than ever. Her constant attacks on Clark revealed exactly the kind of negativity that destroys chemistry, and exactly why she won't be representing the United States anytime soon. Caitlin Clark's calm, composed response to non-stop pressure showed exactly why she's built for the global stage. Her professionalism and maturity earned her the role A'ja Wilson always assumed would belong to her indefinitely. The longtime face of women's basketball was overtaken by a player who's both more gifted and far more marketable. Wilson's sense of entitlement cost her everything she believed she had locked down. Clark's humble rise opened doors Wilson may never walk through again. The Golden Goose finally gets her moment, while the former queen watches it unfold from her living room. Clark symbolizes where American basketball is heading. Wilson represents what the sport is trying to move past. Her collapse proves that raw talent alone isn't enough, not when jealousy, ego, and insecurity poison locker room chemistry. Even 2 MVP trophies couldn't protect her from the consequences of publicly targeting the league's brightest star. Team USA coaches monitored Wilson's attitude for years before making their call. In the end, they chose the player who lifts the sport up instead of the one who tears others down. Clark earned every opportunity through professionalism and elite skill, while Wilson let bitterness sabotage her own reputation. Clark's invitation to join Team USA marks the beginning of a new era in women's basketball, a true passing of the torch. The 2026 World Cup is now must-watch basketball, with Clark leading a fresh generation that values unity over drama and teamwork over ego-driven rivalry. But what do you think? Did Wilson deserve to be left off Team USA? Drop your thoughts in the drop base comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Click the video on screen, and we'll see you in the next one.